ADHD might not be a disorder after all. There's a competing theory. It's called the hunter versus farmer hypothesis. Basically, you might have guessed it already, people who have ADHD are actually hunters, but we live in a world of farmers, right? So ADHD might actually just be a leftover from the hunter-gatherer days. Scientists actually went out into the jungles and looked at primitive cultures, and they found that people who had genetic markers associated with ADHD were more successful. They had more stuff. They held higher positions in their societies. And they theorized why. They tried to explore, figure out why the hell is that the case? Why are people with ADHD, where in our culture, right, in our societies, people with ADHD don't do as well. They struggle in school, they struggle at work. Why are they so much more successful over there? Why are they actually the opposite? They are successful. They're more successful individuals in those cultures. Well, they kind of figured it out. One reason is people who have ADHD, they tend to develop hyperfocus. Kind of like a cat. Have you ever seen a cat hunt something? It's obsessed. It will sit there for hours until the mouse comes out. Same thing with someone who has ADHD. They enter the state of flow. They enter the hyper-focused state much more easily than other individuals. And that allows them to be more successful hunters, right? For, I think, obvious reasons. And also, the thing about ADHD is that we're understimulated. People who have ADHD are understimulated. They're always seeking more stimulation, right? They complain of boredom a lot. What does that lead to? It leads to exploration. People with ADHD are more likely to explore. I'm curious. Oh, what's there? Oh, what's this? As a result, they find more stuff, at least in primitive cultures, right? In primitive cultures, when you're out in the jungle, you explore, you look for stuff, you'll find stuff. And so you bring it home and you got more stuff now, right? And lastly, because you're random, because someone who has ADHD is random, they're much harder to rob, right? You never know when Bob is going to be home. Sometimes Bob is asleep at 3 a.m. Sometimes he's up at 3 a.m. I don't know. I'm not going to go try to rob Bob because he might catch me. So that's how ADHD traits actually make people much more successful in hunting wilder, non-civilized scenarios. The problem happens when we enter a civilized world. The civilized world was built on agriculture. And pretty much everything in our society it could be argued that is structured after agricultural lifestyle, which is doing the same thing every day, day after day, right? Planting the crop, watering the crop, checking on the crop, feeding the cow, milking the cow, feeding the cow, milking the cow. I don't know. Actually, I don't know what it's like, but it is much more of a settled place. It's not so much a place of, it's not a, agricultural lifestyle is not really an exploratory state of mind. It's a sedentary, not sedentary. Farmers are jacked. They're strong individuals, so that they're lifting a lot of stuff. But it is much more of a settled place, right? You don't move around. You don't need that curiosity. You actually don't need that stimulation because you're gonna be doing. You don't need to seek out stimulation because you're going to be doing the same thing day after day all the time. And that's essentially what our culture was built around. Our culture was built around that sort of life expectation, right? So you go to your office and you do the same thing day after day, day after day, day after day. We don't know any other existence, right? And so that's why people who have ADHD traits, people who have the hunter traits, that run strongly through their veins, they struggle in our society. That's not to say that it's impossible to adapt yourself. Oh, it is possible. It is possible. I'm going to give you one hint. People who have ADHD will do a lot better as business owners because there's a lot of things to stimulate them. There's a lot of different things, and there's a lot of exploration too. Yes, there's going to be difficulties because you still need to be kind of focused on one avenue, and you have to persist in that avenue. But in my opinion, business ownership is one of the best adaptations to a modern life that someone with hunter personality traits can do, with someone who has ADHD can do for themselves, in my view. All right. Now, there's other jobs, like for example, working in the ER can work for them really well too, because there's always something happening. So there's other options also. But I hope you found this helpful. Hope you found this useful. There's a short little video. Hit the like button, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Do you think this is BS, or do you think this makes sense? I know it makes sense. You won't convince me otherwise, but you can try. Let me know what you think. And I will see you guys in the next video. Oh, hit like, share, and subscribe. Thanks. Bye.